from Isaiah, the 5th chapter, verses 1 through 7. We have Isaiah using the symbol of the vineyard to represent the nation of Israel. Let me sing for my beloved my love song concerning his vineyard. My beloved had a vineyard on a very fertile hill. He dug it and cleared it of stones and planted it with choice vines. He built a watchtower in the midst of it and hewed out a wine vat for it. He expected it to yield grapes, but it yielded wild grapes. And now, inhabitants of Jerusalem and people of Judah, judge between me and my vineyard. What more was there to do for my vineyard that I have not done in it? When I expected it to yield grapes, why did it yield wild grapes? And now I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will remove its hedge, and it shall be devoured. I will break down its wall, and it shall be trampled down. I will make it a waste. It shall not be pruned or hoed, and it shall be overgrown with briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the people of Judah are his pleasant planting. He expected justice, but saw bloodshed, righteousness, but heard a cry. It was July of 1966. We had just moved to Jacksonville, Illinois. My brother Mark and I were just getting to know all the neighborhood kids. Everybody liked baseball, so we started right in getting to know each other. One day, when it was time to start playing baseball, the neighborhood kids rode their bikes into our driveway. They said, "We have money. Our dads gave us money. We're going to go to the Dairy Queen." So before you know it, a pack of bicycles were pedaling away to the local Dairy Queen. It was only 3.5 blocks, but it seemed like 3.5 miles. And in the July heat, it seemed to take twice as long to get there. Once we got there, all the kids were saying, "Mark, Scott, you need to get a Mr. Misty." "What's that?" we asked. "Oh, it's like this frozen icy drink. It's really good," they all said. So Mark and I lined up for our Mr. Misty, too. Mark ordered grape, and I ordered lime. Before you know it, we were all sitting on our bicycles, slurping on our Mr. Misties. It was so hot, and the Mr. Misty tasted so good. I just drank and drank without restraint. So did my brother. He was slurping away. Then all of a sudden, the monster headache hit me, right in the center of my brain. I had to close my eyes in pain. When I opened them, I saw my brother's eyes were closed. He was holding his head. All the neighbor kids started laughing at us. "You got a brain freeze." "We forgot to tell you about the brain freeze." We said, "What's that?" They said, "Oh, when you drink a Mr. Misty too fast, it gives you a brain freeze." "Oh, thanks for letting us know." It was a relief to know we were not dying of a stroke. For some reason, thinking about grapevines in hot summer heat had me thinking of those Mr. Misties. But I was not wishing for a brain freeze. A Mr. Misty is a good input, but that headache is a terrible output. This had me thinking about the inputs and outputs from the parable of the vineyard. Isaiah uses the symbolism of the vineyard to make a point with Israel. The parable of the vineyard teaches God gives us good inputs. We are to produce good outputs. Let's look at the inputs. Isaiah writes about God clearing the land to make it ready to plant grapevines. This is parallel to God calling Abraham to go to the promised land. God called Abraham and Sarah to be grandparents of a great nation, Israel. In order to make this happen, they were called to leave their home and go to the promised land. This promised land would become the territory of Israel. It says God cleared the land, similar to a farmer clearing new ground of rocks and stones. There were opponents of early Israel. They needed to be cleared out. Clearing the land is symbolic, for the promised land is God's vineyard. Isaiah goes on to talk about God choosing the choicest vines to plant the new vineyard. The choicest vines would be the grandchildren of Abraham and Sarah. These names we recognize as the 12 sons of Jacob, Jacob who would be named Israel. Do the names Benjamin and Reuben, Levi, Dan, and Judah sound familiar? These are the sons of Israel who would become the founders of the 12 tribes of Israel. God planted 12 vines in the promised land. A good vineyard needs a security system. Isaiah writes that God built a watchtower. This would be the Hebrew Torah, the commandments, the law codes of the Old Testament. God's commandments would serve as the watchtower to help the children of Israel live out their promise in the promised land. These watchtower commandments would help the children watch out for sin and for foreign gods. The watchtower would act like a fence or a hedge against unrighteous behavior. It would keep the good inputs in and the bad outputs out. Then there is the wine vat. This might be the temple. This is the place where people could trample out their faith. They could do the praying, singing, and praising that needed to be done. This is where they could come with their problems and pray to God for help. The temple is the place where faith problems could be worked out. This is where they could trample out the vintage of the grapes of wrath. This points to the outputs God wanted in Isaiah's message. God expected righteousness, but heard a cry instead. God wanted his people to live by the law, by the watchtower. But people were crying, they were hurting. They were not being protected by their neighbors and the chosen people. God's chosen were unchoosing each other. Those whose farms got more rain were buying out their neighbors who had less rain. Landlords began to squeeze the sharecroppers. This is worse than the sour grapes in VeggieTales. God gave Israel good land, but Israel gave back bitter grapes. God wanted the people to do better. Be better, not bitter. How do we keep our grapes sweet? We tend to our vineyard. We clear out the rocks, stones, and stumbling blocks. Realize we are God's newly chosen people as of Easter morning, 33 AD. We keep track of our watchtower. We have the law of love of Jesus Christ. God so loved the world. We're supposed to have this kind of love. We have our new temple, the church of Christ. This is where we turn our grumbles into grace. This is where we turn our fear into faith. This is where we stomp the grapes in a good way. This is where we have communion. We have bread, we have juice, we have the vineyard. We sing a song of the vineyard. We come to the garden alone. We come away with God in our hearts. We trample out the vintage, and we find the sweet wine of God's Spirit renewing our spirit. We sing of the vineyard. Amen.